So this is the coming into the turn where the accident happened. Semi was coming the direction we're walking right now, and the semi was over the double yellow line. You can see right about where Brent is. The semi was actually on a path to try to avoid him, and he slammed on his brakes and left 2 skid marks right there, right on top of the double yellow line.
They took pictures of it, they measured it.
Yeah, you can see all the yellow dots from where the cops totally well aware that the semi truck had. Oh, got a car coming. And it was, Divinity's marks are kind of almost gone now. The radiator fluid came out right where those 2 hash marks are over there. Came down the road and washed out, and the cars driving over it have made his skid mark kind of disappear. You can still see it though by the orange dots. Here's where he noticed the truck coming across the double yellow line. He hit the brakes. His bike slid. His front wheel started skidding right here in the middle of his lane because he was trying to slow down and he hit his brakes too hard. He had brand new brake pads. So they started skidding there. You can see the skid mark kind of distorted a little bit. I think that's because the bike was going sideways. The front tire gave out right there. And the front tire was completely off ground and lost contact right here at this last dot, well inside of his lane. And then as the truck was trying to swerve back into his lane, you can see the skid marks going. This is where the point of contact must have took place. Right up in here, where this big explosion of wash is, because the truck stopped. The truck kept sliding. It must have happened further up here somewhere.
Stopped all the way up here.
Right around
he
here.
Started hitting the bike right here.
Right in here.
See right here.
Yep.
That's the major impact of the bike. Just drove the bike right in.
Yep. And then, that's right, because that's where the immediate wash came out on the ground from the radiator. Divinity's head was probably laying right around there, because then the semi-truck, time I came around, the semi-truck was still moving. He rolled his truck further off the road and came down here and parked right here. And Divinity's head was by the rear tires back there. And the semi-truck's front wheels were pointing straight. Actually, I'd have to look at the photos again. And that fucking truck driver could have kicked his fucking ass. He kept crying and whining about how, you know, it wasn't his fault, It was like, dude, fucking calm down. Jeff was laying there completely well within his mind, completely lucid, totally aware of the situation. I came up around and I knew there was a car behind me. So I walked back down. I walked up to see Jeff. I told Jeff, don't move, Jeff. Don't move. We're going to get this traffic taken care of. And then, I don't know if he heard me or not or was paying attention. I came back down here to look for that van. And another guy came up. He seen what was going on. So he took care of that traffic. I turned back around up here and checked in on Jeff. And he had rolled over on his back at that point. And I said, don't move. You know. And then another guy came up over the crest of the hill, and he was already said he was dialing 911. He's making a call right now. Brent went up over the hill, and what'd you do, Brent?
I just parked up there, just get the bike out of the way, and then started watching traffic on that side, but there was another car that came up, and she took over the traffic, so I came back up over here to see what was.
car.
One on this side. No, I think I got plenty of pictures of it now. All the angles.
Yep. And the bike ended up bouncing off the semi truck, and you can see this line right here. It went, that's his gasoline coming out of the tank. His bike came down here and stopped to rest right here in this gravel. They got it marked with paint. That's probably where the end of his wheels were. And whole top of the tank, the front end, the handlebars and everything smashed into the bumper of the front of the truck. And a little bit after hanging around a little bit, the wife of the trucker, I didn't know she was the wife of the trucker. I thought she was just some other local. She went over and started rooting through Divinity's tank bag. And I'm like, what are you doing? She said, I'm looking for drugs or alcohol, anything that would incriminate him. Because he was out of control. You know, I don't know for sure all the things she said. She was just rambling on. I didn't know she was the trucker's wife. You know, I just thought she was some other person trying to help. And so as soon as she said that, I grabbed everything out of her hands, put it back in his tank bag. And I went around the road and I gathered everything up and I put his tank bag over there beside the road and watched it like a hawk. And then Divinity needed something out of his tank bag. Well, we were looking for something else. And I went back to the tank bag and the paramedic told me to leave the tank alone, leave it alone because it's evidence. And I said, well, it's already been moved. So he's like, well, just leave it alone. So, yeah. Apparently it's a pretty historical place. You see there's names carved in the sandstone all through here. A lot of motorcycle accidents. But it was completely started by the truck. And Brent, didn't the truck driver tell you he deliberately swerved left of center because he had to miss something?
Yeah, he told me he deliberately rides that center line or goes over the center line because of the rocks that overhang on the edge. Get too close to the truck.
But he's full of fucking shit because look at that fucking rock cliff.
Well, either way he does, he shouldn't have.
There's nothing there that can, nothing. Totally, plenty of room for a semi to get through here. There's nothing that overhangs that would hurt his truck. The rocks are plenty far enough away for him to stay in his lane. Yeah, and if that's the case, he should have drove this road. It's the absolute worst place to be left of center, or even on the yellow line. Those tread marks for his skid marks on his tires tell the tale. He's the one that started this accident. He's the one that should be violated. And Jeff, you know, it was just an unfortunate victim. You know, he slammed on his brakes and lost his front end. So